been another tense, riveting, exciting, and in some cases angry Premier League weekend. And I'm joined now by Liam Brady and John Giles to discuss it. Much of it is mired in controversy because VAR is not working the way we thought it would, and it's creating havoc in the game. That's my personal opinion, but we'll find out about John's and Liam's in a moment. But let's start talking about football. Liam, the most interesting match in some ways of the weekend, Arsenal, Manchester United at Old Trafford, reminded people of the great rivalry between Wenger and Alex Ferguson, and it was a fascinating match in its own right. What did you make of it, Liam?
Well, a good match, Eamon. I thought both teams played okay. You know, Arsenal came into the game in the first half. You're going to talk about VAR, I know, but they had a goal chalked off, and the other day it might have been given. And I think if you're playing against Manchester United, if you go ahead, you've got every chance of beating them, because what they're doing now is they're sitting back, and hitting teams on the break. That's the way they're playing. Yeah. And I suppose they had to do that after the first two games, which they lost badly. So you'd have to say they're playing with a lot more spirit and a lot more organisation, United. Yes. And with the players they have up front, they've got speed. And they show that. And I think Eriksen has been a terrific sign, and what a great player, and what a great story this is. Yes. He's a brilliant player, and he's making things happen for United that didn't have that kind of player before. Yeah, John, I would sort of worry about Eriksen's legs in the long run, playing in that midfield position, whether he's got the legs to do it for 90 minutes. He was involved also in the incident that caused all the trouble, because he was the one that was pushed over. I thought that it was a foul. I think if you push someone and don't get a touch on the ball, which he didn't, then it's a free kick. But there was all kinds of arguments about it, wasn't there? Yeah, well, there always is, Eamon. When a goal is allowed or disallowed, if it's allowed, everything is okay. If it's disallowed, people are going mad over it. I thought he pushed him. Yeah, and that was it. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, he pushed him in the back. Yeah. I think I heard Gary Neville saying he didn't think it was a free kick. Well, what else could it be? If you push somebody in the back, it's a free kick. I couldn't see anything else. I mean, Lee might have a different opinion, but did he push him or did he not push him? He definitely pushed him. Yeah. Let me ask you, John, about... Well, I think the referees are letting a lot more go this season. Oh, they are. There's no doubt. Challenges. I think they are under orders not to be blown up for kind of menial free kicks, if that's the right word, And he let that go. But John's absolutely right. It was a foul, so I've got no complaints about it. But they're letting a lot more go, aren't they? They're letting a lot more go. Yes. This season. Yes, and a lot more pushing, a lot more grabbing, and also some of the tackles. They clearly have been given new instructions. The trouble, Liam, is, and I'll put it to you as well, John, the trouble is they haven't told us what the new rules are. No, I think what's happened, Eamon, there's been, from the public, the soccer public, and I think the stats showed it, that there weren't as many goals as we'd had before. Right. So what they've done, in my opinion, the referees, is say, okay, like that incident we're talking about on Saturday, we're going to let them go. Yeah. Now, I spoke to you during the week. If you're talking about football, like from last season to this season, if it was a foul last season, then it's still a foul this season. You can't change the rules to say we let it go because we're not scoring as many goals. It's madness, and this is where we're getting all the controversy from, Eamon. Right. It's gone mad in terms things we've seen on the pitch. Oh, we let it go, because they're scoring more goals from it. Right, Liam. It's madness. Just in terms of the football yesterday, Marcus Rashford has returned to form in the last couple of games. He got a very good goal against Liverpool, a very important goal. He got 2 yesterday. And he's got pace to burn. And this young fella, Anthony, that they've signed for 100 million because Ajax had them over a barrel
He's a Brazilian. He took his goal very well.
Yeah, he took it away nicely, and it's good to see Rashford back to form, to be honest, Eamon.
Yes.
Because I felt sorry for the lad. He couldn't hit a barn door, could he, for a while? But now he's scoring goals, you know. And I think he's a good lad. I think he's dedicated. He works hard, and he's got pace. And he made some good runs yesterday. And when the chances came along, he took them away. Anthony, I'm not too sure about. You can't really judge a lad in one game. He took his goal very well.
Yes.
But I think Ten Hag looks like he knows what he's doing. I mean, he knows what he wants. The team are playing with a lot more spirit now.
Yes.
They're defending better. Arsenal had lots of possession, but they didn't create many chances, did they?
Not really, but John, I thought Arsenal played well for a period in the first half and a period in the second half. And as Liam says, they didn't get goals, but they passed the ball well, and they looked a half-decent side compared to United. There were spells when United didn't, the goal they got, particularly Rashford's second goal, it was on the break.
Yeah, I thought when they were on the ball going forward, they were excellent, Damon. I thought defensively, if you go back on the goals, they were terrible.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely terrible for the goals. I mean, it was a couple of breakaways from Manchester United, a long ball through from Rashford. I mean, there was three defenders back, and nobody was picking them up, and I thought the defence was awful. Going forward, especially in the early parts of the game, very, very good, really good. But you can't give goals away, the way they gave goals away. In a big match.
They're trying to play offside, John, weren't they? John? Trying to play offside.
It looked that way, Liam. Yeah, there was no cover from anybody, and I don't know whether it's part of the plan playing offside or not, Liam. But anytime Manchester United attacked,
I always think that players who lack pace or are playing at the back are always looking to play offside. Because they don't want to run. They can't run, and I think Ben White, the right back, is a centre-back without any pace, and I think he got caught out on that goal. He was trying to play offside, and he should have been on the cover, as you said, John.
Yeah, it was. It's they're not going to, like, if you don't defend well, Liam, it's very, very difficult to stay up there and win things the way they're trying to. Obviously, Arsenal are trying to win things, but I was disappointed with them. Going forward, excellent, really good. You're not going forward for 90 minutes, Liam, as we know.
Now, lads, a game with no goals, but a lot of incident. The Merseyside derby, Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Jordan Pickford, who I think we all have reservations about his temperament, he was man of the match. He did save. He made a couple of great saves, as did Alisson in the Liverpool goal. Liam, can I ask you about Liverpool in particular? They don't appear to pose the threat they did last season, particularly the scoring threat that was there when Mane was there. Salah appears to really have gone off the boil, and the stats back that up, Liam. I think he's only scored one goal this season. What do you make of Liverpool over the last few weeks?
Well, there's something missing, without doubt, and it might be Mane. It might be, because he was a terrific player.
Yes.
And although him and Salah had a bit of rivalry as who was going to score the most goals.
Yeah.
Sometimes they didn't pass to one another and things like that, and Klopp had to sort that out. But they definitely worked well together, and I think that's the thing that's not there anymore. He was a brilliant forward player, Eamon. So they brought in others, and there's something missing. I don't know. They're creating chances, obviously, because of Pickford's the man of the match.
Yes.
But they're not putting it away. Like, they scored 8 against Bournemouth the week before.
9.
And then they draw a blank against Liverpool, or they draw a blank against Everton. So I don't really know what's going on.
John, what's your take on Liverpool? My own opinion, I'll just chuck it in there, is it's midfield. Is a problem. And I could not understand why he started this young lad they bought from Fulham, Carvalho. He started him against Everton in a Merseyside derby. I couldn't really understand that. But tell us what you think.
Well, I think even at their best, Eamon, they lack somebody in midfield that we used to have, the general in midfield to do it.
Yeah.
The lad that's injured, Giles, I think he's the best of them, Eamon. Right. Without being great. I think he's okay, but he's the best of them. Right. He doesn't really get a grip of the game. So when things are not going so well, that you need somebody like that, like Graham Souness, for example, when he played for Liverpool. Yeah. He could the midfield when it wasn't going well, he could do this, that, and get on the ball, and nobody like that. And they're not really going up front the way they normally do. Salah hasn't played and I haven't seen him play a good game this season. No. Now, I just raised something there. Would it be that the new contract situation?
Yes, that could be it.
This is what they feared. This is what they feared at Liverpool. Yes. And all clubs fear. Yes. A lad who is 30, whatever he's throughout 30, isn't he? Yeah. Giving him a big contract, is he going to do it or not? Now, I think Salah's a good pro. But so far this season, he hasn't been the Salah that we've known in the past. Yeah. And these things do happen.
Yes, I do. And I'd just like to, Liam, and you both know this because you were both big contract men back in the day. Liam, well, you're still a big contract, Liam. There is something in that possibly, Liam, in that you get into a comfort zone. Would you agree?
No, I don't agree at all. No, I don't agree. I think Salah, as John said, is a real good pro. It's just not going right for him, but he will come good.
Right.
He will come good, and they'll solve the problem. I've no doubt that Liverpool will challenge for the league this season. But the missing man, he's top-notch player, Eamon,
Yeah.
And Nunes coming in, the big fella, I'm not too sure about,
No.
Does he really suit what Liverpool are all about? I'm not too sure.
I'm not too sure. I agree with you. I didn't like him. I've only seen him twice. I didn't like him Saturday at all. Not just, he looks awkward, takes up not great positions. John, you liked him in the first game.
The Fulham game. I only saw a bit of him against, I think it was Fulham, one of the matches. Yeah. And he looked the part. I think he only came on for about 20, but he scored and made a goal in the 15, 20 minutes he was on. So he looked useful. He looked good, Eamon. But I would have my doubts because you have to wait for periods of time to see exactly what he can do. And he didn't cover himself in glory, given the fella the nut and suspended for 3 matches. So the jury's out on him in a big way. Yeah,
right. Liam, just to ask you about a tackle Van Dijk made. I thought he was lucky not to. He didn't get anything. He didn't. Maybe he got a booking, but it could have been. He was over the top of the ball, and he could have broken his opponent's leg. Not like Van Dijk to do that, but it was shown up and no further action was taken. Did you note that tackle?
Yes, yeah. I've seen people go off for tackles like that, Eamon. So he was a wee bit fortunate. He was, and I think there was intent involved. It's a Merseyside derby, so you're going to get plenty of tackles like that. Not like the old days, those tackles have more or less disappeared now, but I thought he was a bit fortunate to get away with it.
Right. Let's move on to a coach that has generally been respected in the game for a long time now. Brendan Rodgers, as coach at Liverpool in particular, came very close to winning the league for Liverpool. Johnny's in trouble at Leicester.
Yeah.
They're bottom of the league. They got 1 point from 6 games. And they got a bit of a hiding at the weekend. Brighton beat them 5-2. Now, Brighton are a good team, we know that. But Rodgers seems to be under pressure. And he said, after the game, he said, the main job for me this year is keeping us up. They haven't given him any money to spend. And Kasper Schmeichel is gone. 1 or 2 others have gone as well. They're in trouble, aren't they?
And a half, Eamon, has gone for 70 million.
Yeah.
And I think what the owner said, there's not going to be any money. Right. We've got to put up with this,
Yeah.
I think Brandon's in big trouble.
Right.
I mean, they sell their best players. The goalkeeper's gone. The big centre halves are gone, and they've replaced them with. Well, they've signed somebody there for about 15 grand.
Yeah.
But I think they've told Brandon, we're not going to be spending money.
Yeah.
I think Brandon's best bet now is to get out.
Yeah, Liam, he's established himself as a very good coach. In fact, when United were looking for a coach after Solskjaer left, Brendan Rodgers was one of the names mentioned. But he's in a bad place now, Liam, isn't he?
Well, he is, but I wouldn't point the finger at him. You know,
no, I'm not pointing the finger at him at all.
He hasn't had any money at all, so I think he's looking for the sack game, and I think he doesn't want to resign, because if you resign, you don't get paid up.
Right.
But he'll be wanting the sack. You know, I think his interviews to the media and television are more or less saying that I haven't been supported here, I haven't been backed, they're making me sell the best players, and it's, you know, what am I supposed to do? And I think anybody looking at the situation would say, yeah, he's right. You know, he's a very ambitious fella. His CV is excellent. Is like Swansea. I think he did really good things at Swansea. Then he went to Liverpool. He's very unlucky not to win the title at Liverpool. Like, if Steven Gerrard doesn't fall over that game against Chelsea, they probably go on to win it. And he did a great job at Celtic, and he did a very, very fine job at Leicester in the last couple of years, you know. So I think he's just waiting to be pushed out, to be quite honest, and move on to another club.
Right, John.
I think the problem there, Liam, is if there's a difference between being sacked and resigning. I'm talking about his future, if he's looking for a club. Do you know what I mean? I think and I understand what you're saying, because he would get a payoff. But I think the payoff, that leaving now, would be worth more in the long run to him by resigning.
Yeah, but you never know, John.
No.
I think he might have three.
I think he's on about 6 million a year, John.
No, I can understand it, Liam. I do understand it, but in the long run, I mean, if you're sacked, you're less likely to get a job that you would want than being sacked. You know, it goes on his resume as it was.
You get the 12 million, though, John.
I know. I understand that. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what Liam's saying. Let me ask both of you, John.
No, but in the long run, Eamon,
I know what you mean. Yes, in the long run, it doesn't look good to have sacked. And that can cost you money wise. Yes,
and the position that you're going to get.
Yeah,
you know?
But you still have the 12 million to keep you going.
Oh, I know.
Now, look,
I don't blame him. Let's put it that way, Eamon.
No, you know? I think we're all agreed on that. The Aston Villa Manchester City, John, we spoke to each other during the game. We were both watching it. Another fantastic goal from Haaland. Well, it wasn't a fantastic. It was a good move, and he finished it off. Stylish.
It was a great ball from De Bruyne, Eamon.
It was a great ball from De Bruyne.
A fantastic ball, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And he had what you'd call a cushioned volley from about 2 yards. But overall, Villa, we talked about Villa and Steven Gerrard last week being under pressure. Villa put it up to them, John, and City weren't quite as imposing as they can be. And in the end, Villa had a goal disallowed, and, well, it wasn't convincing, was it?
No, well, it was convincing from Villa's point of view, Eamon. There was a good spirit about them. They had to go. They lost the goal and came back. I don't think it was good from City's point of view by any means.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've spoken before on your programme. They're not balanced, City. No. I know they're winning matches, but I still have my doubts about them for
midfield.
In matches. Yeah, well, they don't have a midfield, Eamon.
No.
I mean, if you look at them, they've got Rodri in the middle of the field. Gundogan is always forward. He's a goal-scoring player. He's in the penalty box, anyway.
Bernardo Silva is playing out wide.
Yeah, I think he's the best bet in the middle of the field, and he's playing out wide.
Yeah,
you know, you got Foden on the other side. De Bruyne is not playing in the middle of the field.
No, he's not. No,
anything but Eamon. So obviously, when they're on the attack, excellent, and they will score goals. But when they lose the ball in that position, Eamon, Villa are not the best team in the world, but they put them under severe pressure when they did lose the ball, or Villa won the ball in the big way.
Yes.
And I think with top teams, Eamon, and I know the City have great players, but you need a balance.
Right.
You're not going to be attacking all the time. And as soon as they lose the ball when they are attacking, they're in trouble. And that's in matches that they've played well and won, and they will score a lot of goals. But I don't think the balance is there for it to say, well, when we lose it, we're balanced. They're either one or the other. They're attacking or they're defending in a big way, or not in a good way, defending.
Yeah, Liam Haaland, I managed to back first goal scorer and get 5-2. I think I might retire because
you should be even money every game. You did well there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I just clicked on to see what price he might be, and he was 5-11-4. And he's a real predator as well as being many other things. He's a really marvellous player. God knows what he'll do in the game, and it's wonderful to see. But on Saturday, I don't know if you saw the game.
I did see it, Eamon. Yeah, I watched it, yeah.
What about John's analysis, which I agree with, that they're light in midfield, City, because...
Well, everyone's light in midfield. John mentions Graham Souness, as the type of player. All the teams need a guy like that. Arsenal haven't got anybody. United haven't got anybody.
Yes, that's right.
Liverpool haven't got anybody. They aren't around anymore, Eamon. They ain't making them like they used to,
No,
to be quite honest. So... that's what's missing. Yeah, I agree with John. They've got Rodgers in that kind of centre midfield role, and they've got 2 or 3 guys around him who are not really midfield players. Gundogan is going forward. He's in the box. He pops up in the box. He gets a few goals, but they're not doing too bad doing it. They haven't been beaten yet. They've dropped 4 points, I think, with 2 draws away to Newcastle, away to Villa. And you'd have to say they're probably likely to win the league again this season, looking at the teams that are out there.
Well, let me ask both.
Eamon, can I just come in there? Eamon, can I just come in there? I can understand what you're saying, Liam, that they don't have the great midfield players. But you can still have players in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Gundogan is never going to be a midfield player, but Bernard Silva, for example, could play in midfield. De Bruyne doesn't play in midfield anyway, but they don't. I just
pop the ball over the place, John, don't they? They pop the ball over the place. They're not really designated to stay in any particular area of
John,
the pitch.
I'll tell you what they do and what the idea is. They move Cancelo, the left back. He moves into midfield. Walker, he pushes into that space in midfield. It's a very attacking way of looking at the game. They don't have midfield players who sit. They push the midfield. They push. Cancelo moves into midfield and Walker moves into midfield. Sometimes you see Stones moving forward with the ball in midfield. And that means the midfield players, if they were out and out, would be pushing forward. And that's what they do. They sometimes have 6 people in the box, or maybe more. And I don't mean for corners. I mean in normal play.
Yeah, I do know what they do.
Yeah.
You don't mind me saying.
No, I didn't mean to say you'd missed it.
Well, I know what they do with the fullbacks, but they're not midfield players. They do push into midfield now and again. But they don't have to have perfect. Say they Gundogan in the mid. Let them stay in midfield.
Yeah.
They still play in midfield. Play as midfield players.
Yes. Yeah. That's not what he's into. That's not what Pep's into, you see. And I agree with you. I don't care what he's into, Eamon. I'm just giving you my opinion on what they should be doing and they're not doing. Right. They've got terrific players going forward, of course they have. But you get 5, 6, 7 of them outside the box sometimes, the opponent's box. Yeah.
But once they lose, what's happening is it will catch up on them.
Right.
Once they lose the ball, they're in big trouble. Now, when you look at all the great teams, they're balanced in a way that if you lose the ball, they can still defend. It's not all or nothing. Have to be all or nothing. And I know that's Pep's way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't
think it's right.
I don't agree with it. And we had conversations about Pep over the years, and you were much fonder of him than I was. Let me just put it to both of you, who are great midfield players yourself. You are great playmakers and great midfield players, and I don't use the word great lightly. I don't know if Pep would want you because you're not mobile enough. You don't do the things.
Hang on a minute, Eamon.
Yeah, go on.
What was the great Barcelona team?
The great was Xavi and Iniesta.
Yeah, well, he had them, didn't he?
Pardon? Well, they
had them.
They were there before him. He inherited them.
Well, but he didn't get rid of them, did he? I mean, you're saying he wouldn't have them. Of course he'd have them. They're just not there at the moment.
Right. Okay. Liam, what are you...
Eamon, get back in your box.
As I've been arguing with John about this,
they're not around anymore, Eamon. They're not around anymore.
Right.
Who's got them? Who's got them? Name me the top midfield player.
No, I think you're right, Liam. And I think that's why Manchester United have, had to put really Eriksen, who is really for playing off the front too, and is more an attacking midfield player. They've had to put Eriksen, as you said earlier, Liam. He's doing it really well. He's a very, very good footballer, but he is playing as a playmaker, really, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's starting things off because they don't have anybody. They had Fred trying to do it. He's not capable. That's my point,
Yeah.
They ain't around anymore, Eamon. They're not around.
Okay, now let's talk about Spurs, John. They've got another good result. Bit fortunate, I think, at the weekend to get a 2-1 win over Fulham. Mitrovic scored again. It's the 6th goal in the season for Fulham. But Spurs are going to be there, and they play Manchester City next week, John. But he's doing an amazing job in improving players, isn't he, Conte?
Oh, yeah. He's improved the whole team, since he's gone to the place.
Yeah.
He's a pro. He's a good, terrific manager. He gets things done, and he knows his stuff, and he demands it and gets it from them,
Yeah.
And, you see them when they don't get the ball, they're all working really, really hard to get it back,
Yes.
Now, that sounds simple. But, I mean, if you look at Spurs, there was nobody else doing for 2 or 3 managers what he's doing now since he's come in.
No,
hasn't spent a lot of money. Good pros, has him working hard. He has Kane, of course, and Son. He's got some good players up front. But they're a team. And they're pros now, the way he's going about it,
Yeah. Liam, knowing the scene in North London, Spurs, although Arsenal are top of the league this morning, point in front of actually Spurs and Manchester City, Tottenham pose a real threat to Arsenal, don't they, for supremacy in that. And they also, I think they've got real prospects of finishing in the top 4. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would, yeah. I like to look at them. I think they're a team that are capable of getting results even when they don't play well. I only saw Match of the Day, Eamon, the highlights on Saturday night. I thought when a team creates as many chances as Spurs did, they're playing well, and they had at least 6 chances, 6 really good chances, and Richarlison was very unlucky not to score. And he's another good signing, and he looks like he's really up for it. I always thought he was a really good player, but I think when he went to Everton, he was kind of let down by the standard of player he was playing with. Now he's playing with Harry Kane, he's playing with Son, and he's going to be a real good player, I think, for Spurs. They're going to be very hard to beat. They let in very few goals. Loris, the keeper, is an excellent goalkeeper, and Conte's got the defence very, very organised, and they look a good team, and they could be a dark horse this year, to be quite honest. Yeah,
John, just before we finish, Conte has said he'll need 3 transfer windows from now to make them a championship winning team, which is fair enough. I just wanted to ask you another question, John and Liam, to finish up, about Chelsea and West Ham. Chelsea appear to have really gone off the boil, and I looked at the match and they didn't really play well, and they keep he's persisting with Loftus-Cheek, which I don't know why he's doing it, but West Ham were robbed, John. Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy was lying on the ground pretending he got a knock on the head, and he hadn't. West Ham got their goal, and David Moyes, who isn't by any means histrionic or in any way a messer as a coach, he's a very respected and properly respected coach and football man. he was raging. I never seen he was white with anger after the game because the goal was disallowed. That was a terrible example of VAR not working. The keeper conning the referee, because if it's a head injury now, you've got to stop the game. But this was wrong, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tuchel said it was okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Eamon. With managers, any of them, I haven't seen any yet, Eamon, that it went their way, and it shouldn't have gone their way. Where they held their hands up and said, "Yeah, we think that was wrong." Never heard any of them, not one yet, doing it.
It's a shame for West Ham, John. They need the third and bottom.
Oh, I know. It's dreadful. It doesn't matter where you are, Eamon. If you have things going against you in that particular way, it's awful. And that it's a big thing, big deal for Moyes in the position that he's in, as you say. But to get back to the Chelsea situation that you were talking about, Eamon, they've had this new ownership coming in. I doubt if Tuchel is in charge of the transfers now.
Right. Yeah.
Very, very much so. I think he's putting up with it, I think, because he has to. But if you look at this guy's very high profile coming in,
American,
I think he's getting players in that he likes. That's the way I see it. And I think Tuchel will get fed up with it, Eamon, to be quite honest.
Right. Liam, just a final thought on that. An American billionaire arrives at the club. He's said to be hands-on, is the quote. Not good news if you're the coach.
No, but I don't agree with John totally there. Like, they've signed Aubameyang, and Tuchel must have said, "I want him, get me at all costs, get him from me at all costs." I think the owners probably backed him, but you don't want the owner in charge of transfers and negotiations and things like that. So to go back,
would you not think he's in charge of it at the moment, Liam? The new owner.
Well, for example, Aubameyang, do you think the owners bought him or Tuchel, John?
I think Tuchel, Liam, and he's getting him for 12 million.
He had him at Dortmund, he worked with him at Dortmund.
That's right.
He needs a goal scorer and he wants him. And so I don't agree with John. I do agree with...
Well, maybe on that particular transfer, but what about all the others, Liam, that we're talking about, ins and outs there at Chelsea?
I would say Tuchel's giving us some up for them, John. The kid from Leicester, Fofana, is it? They've been after him for ages before the owner even came. They've been after him, so...
But they're not showing it on the pitch so far, Liam. Anyway.
You keep going on about VAR. It's not VAR. It's not the video. It's the guy deciding in the room, to contact the referee and say, you need to have a look at this. It's human error again. And these guys didn't play the game. None of them have played the game.
Yeah. So, I totally agree with Liam. I totally agree with Liam there. Totally agree.
So do I. Yeah. I think VAR should be scrapped, Liam, now. It's not working.
No, I played for Ireland down through the years. We were robbed. We were robbed time and time again by referees who were... Now, referees can't get away with that anymore, They cannot get away with it. So VAR is absolutely, in my mind, it's great. But you get these guys who are making decisions and tell referees to have a look at things.
Yes.
These are the guys who are getting it wrong.
Right. Human error. And John... I'd say it to Liam, a lot of it was when John was the manager of the Irish team, and it was really hard to qualify for major championships because there was no Latvias and small nations. You were playing the big nations, Belgium, France, Spain.
Only the other day, Eamon, I looked at a goal that John scored himself. He scored against Bulgaria. The ball came out to him on the edge of the box in Sofia, and he smashed it in, bottom corner, bang, goal. And I looked, it was disallowed for what? I couldn't see anything on the picture screen to remotely have an idea why the goal was disallowed.
And that would have qualified you, wouldn't it, Liam?
Well, it probably would in the scheme of things.
In the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they were noted for it, Liam. Bulgaria.
It stops this corruption in the game, John.
Yeah.
Which there was, no doubt about it.
Go on, John, you were going to say finally.
I think what's happened with VAR, Eamon, is, and I totally agree with Liam, in principle, VAR is okay. But if it goes to the people, I just read in Sutton's column this morning, Liam, that he said that the lad at Newcastle, where there was a dreadful decision made. The lad was only his sixth match in the Premiership, and he was, when he went to the side of the pitch, the referee who was there, because the referees can insist that their decision holds, but they didn't show one of the photographs on the pitch. Do you know where the fella pushed the fella into the goalkeeper?
Yeah.
In the match.
Yeah.
You know, there was
the referee,
a decision.
Michael Salisbury, and it was his sixth time refereeing in the Premier League, and they didn't show him the relevant piece of footage.
Yes, they didn't show him where the fella pushed him into the goalkeeper, because the fella upstairs, Evan, wanted to get his way.
Yes.
That's what they've got to stop. And I totally agree with Liam. It's not VAR itself. The VAR is very, very good. But what they're doing is that the fellas in that they go to on the side, Eamon, they have too much authority. Do you know what I mean? I think the referee should go, see has he made the right decision? Has he not made the right decision, and change it? Not the fella up and upstairs.
Well, I just want to make it crystal clear, in case we confuse the listeners. The referee has the final say in all of those moments. It is the referee's final say. He can be swayed, of course, and sometimes they're wrong, but it's a second chance. It isn't working, in my opinion, but I'm 2-1 down on that particular argument. I'm very grateful to John Giles and to Liam Brady.